It was Halloween, and my best friend Dylan and I had planned to hit up a few parties before calling it a night. We'd been friends since middle school, and at 22, we were still as close as ever. We didn't have much to look forward to after college, so nights like this, filled with booze, costumes, and carefree fun, were our escape from reality. The first party was decent, nothing too wild. But by 11 p.m., we were craving something a little more exciting. That's when Dylan got a text from someone he knew about an after party at this old, abandoned house on the edge of town. "Sounds perfect," Dylan said, grinning. "You down?" I hesitated. I'd heard rumors about that house, how kids would go there to drink, mess around, but sometimes not everyone came back the same. There were whispers about strange noises, people seeing things in the woods surrounding it. But of course, it was Halloween, and I didn't want to be the buzzkill. "Yeah, why not?" I finally said. We hopped in the car and drove out of town, the streets getting darker and more desolate the farther we went. Finally, we reached the house. A massive, decaying structure with boarded-up windows and overgrown weeds choking the driveway. A few other cars were already parked outside, their occupants presumably inside, having a good time. But the place felt off. The air was thick with tension, and the wind howled through the broken windows like a warning. I almost suggested we turn back, but Dylan was already halfway out of the car, eager for whatever thrill this night would bring. So I followed him inside. The house was huge, bigger than I'd imagined, and despite its dilapidated condition, the lower floor was packed with people. Music blasted from a speaker someone had brought, and beer bottles littered the floor. At first, it felt like any other party, but there was something about the atmosphere, something darker. The shadows seemed to shift in the corners of the room, like they were alive, watching us. "Let's go upstairs," Dylan said, nudging me. I didn't like the idea, but I didn't want to seem scared. So we made our way up the creaky wooden staircase, the floorboards groaning beneath our feet. The second floor was almost entirely empty, save for a few people standing near the windows smoking. But the air up there was colder, and it felt wrong. Suddenly we heard a loud crash from one of the rooms down the hall. "What the hell was that?" I asked, my heart racing. "Let's check it out," Dylan said, heading toward the noise. As we got closer, I noticed the door was slightly ajar, swinging back and forth as if someone had just passed through. Dylan pushed it open, revealing an empty room. Or so we thought. In the far corner, where the shadows were thickest, something moved. "Is someone there?" Dylan called out. No answer. Then, the door slammed shut behind us. "Dylan!" I shouted, panic setting in. We both rushed to the door, but it wouldn't budge. It felt like someone, or something, was holding it shut from the other side. We banged on the door, shouting for help, but the music downstairs drowned out our cries. Suddenly, the temperature in the room dropped. My breath came out in white puffs, and Dylan's face turned pale. Then, from the corner, we heard it, whispering. It was faint at first, like it was coming from far away, but it got louder and more insistent until it was right behind us. "We need to get out of here," Dylan said. But before we could do anything, the lights flickered and went out, plunging us into darkness. The whispering grew louder, more chaotic, like a chorus of voices all speaking at once, overlapping. I couldn't understand the words, but I knew they weren't friendly. Suddenly, Dylan screamed. I reached out in the dark, trying to find him, but he was gone. "Dylan!" I shouted, but all I heard in response was his panicked breathing, somewhere across the room. I fumbled for my phone, using the screen as a makeshift flashlight. When I found Dylan, he was standing in the middle of the room, staring blankly at something I couldn't see. "Dylan, we need to go now," I urged, grabbing his arm. But he wouldn't move. He just stood there, his eyes wide with terror. I "I can't move," he whispered, his voice barely audible. That's when I saw it, a figure standing right behind him. It was tall, its face hidden in shadow, but its eyes glowed with an unnatural light. The figure raised a hand, placing it on Dylan's shoulder. And then, Dylan's body convulsed violently. His eyes rolled back, and he let out a blood-curdling scream before collapsing to the floor, lifeless. I rushed to his side, shaking him, but he wasn't breathing. I screamed for help, pounded on the door, but no one came. The figure was gone, vanished into the shadows as if it had never been there. The door finally creaked open, but it was too late. Dylan was gone. I don't remember much after that. The police arrived, said it was a heart attack, brought on by drugs or alcohol, but I know what I saw. Dylan didn't die from a heart attack. Something in that house, something evil, took him. And now, every Halloween, I can still feel its presence, watching, waiting.